Okay, so let's go over here to, I believe this is Colby in Oklahoma. Hi, Colby. How may we help you today?
Hey, is that me?
That is
I
you.
believe that is you, Colby. Yes. How may we
Okay.
help you, my friend?
Yeah, so I'm from Louisiana. So that's what threw me off a
Oh,
little
it
bit.
says
But
Oh.
it says Oklahoma on our screen
Oklahoma's a
here.
fine
So
state as well.
the fact that it says Oklahoma means that you have to move.
Well, maybe I should. Um, so first of all, thank you for taking my call. I am in the Marriage 911 group on Facebook, and in the course, I'm in so I'm working through that, but I've got a pretty difficult situation I need some help with.
Okay.
I called Erin, and she told me to call into the show, so I called in.
Okay.
So my question is, my wife has been battling depression for several months. She's on medication, but she's also pregnant. She didn't want to get pregnant, and so that's been difficult. She was on bed rest for several months, and so I was taking care of our kids while she was doing that, while she was just on the couch. And she fell in love with her best friend, my best friend's wife, and they started having an affair in late May, and she's actually living with her now.
Mhm.
So I'm at home with the kids. We have four kids still at home. One's moved out to college, and she's pregnant with our sixth child,
Wow.
and he's due to be born in 2 months. And we're getting along really well, but she feels like the relationship um, with this woman has
Mhm.
has gone too far, and she can't come back.
Mm.
And so she doesn't want to come home. But after the child is born, um, she knows that I want my kids at home with me,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and she doesn't have a place for them there with her
Mhm.
um, at her girlfriend's house. And so we were talking, and I said, like, I want you to come home with us. Like, I can't imagine you not coming home with us from the hospital. And
Mm.
we were having a conversation one night about just the difficult things that we're walking through right now. And that was
Okay.
one of the things I said that was really hard for me. And she said, well, I want to come home with you. So my
Okay.
question is, she wants to come home from the hospital with me,
Mhm.
but I have a boundary of her cutting off that relationship in order to live with me in my house.
And
So do I
and
keep that boundary, or do I
mhm.
let her come back after the baby is born?
Now you realize, of course, we can't tell you what to do. You do understand that, right?
Right.
It's your life.
Yeah.
It's and there are all kinds of people who will be happy to tell you what to do, but they don't have to live with the consequences of your
Yeah.
decision. When it comes down to those
Right.
kinds of things, okay, we seldom talk about boundaries anymore. Kimberly and I were talking about this, maybe a year ago, and came up with a different concept than boundaries because boundaries seem to be so misunderstood. So we came up with an acronym, it's called STOP, S-T-O-P, and what that means is a safeguard that offers protection. And so rather than a boundary which can come to the point of trying to control another person, we say if you're going to do something, who are you safeguarding? Safeguarding that offers protection. Stop. Who you're safeguarding and why. And so the question I'd have for you right here is, if you were going to put that up, is that's going to be a stop. You cannot come home with the baby unless you have no more contact with the other woman. Are you safeguarding you? Safeguarding her? Who are you safeguarding with that?
Uh, well, it would be me.
Okay.
Just because emotionally knowing that
Okay.
she's continuing to be in contact with her would be really hard.
And that's an okay answer.
Mhm.
You just the thing is to be honest with yourself about that. Now, if you say that, and she says, "No, I can't end it that rapidly because I've got such a strong emotional bonding with this woman, and I can come home with you and I can live there, but it doesn't mean that these emotions are going to go away instantly." Is it worth it to you to say, "Okay, then you can't live here"? And that means that because you're going to have a newborn, that I'm assuming she would take the newborn with her. Is that correct?
No, I mean she's planning on him living with me.
Okay, so she would say, "Here, you take the newborn. I'm going to go live with this woman." Now, if you're thinking about who
Yeah.
you're safeguarding, I think you have. Well, in my opinion, it's your decision. My opinion is that what does that do to the child?
Right.
But there's five
Yeah.
other children.
I understand that, and one of whom is, I think you said, already gone off to college, and I do get that. The bonding that takes place between a child and a mom in the first several months of life is kind of a big deal. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I'm willing for that not to occur because this is that important to me, and if she's saying I'm willing for that to occur because of the fact that I want to be with this other woman, well, then you can make those decisions and make that happen. I'm just asking you to consider very carefully, is that worth that to you? And if it is, it is. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just saying think those things through carefully if you're going to make that kind of decision.
There's one other piece.
Okay, what's that?
The other piece is 2.5 weeks ago, my 15-year-old attempted suicide. She overdosed on depression medication.
I'm so sorry.
Because my wife refused to say she was going to divorce me.
Your 15-year-old wants your wife to divorce you. Is that what you just said?
No, she just wanted her to make a decision. But now that she's made a decision, in Louisiana, you have to wait a year to get divorced if you have kids. And so we're 9 months out from that at best.
Okay.
In getting divorced. And so
the 15-year-old said, because you won't make a decision, I'm going to try to do away with myself. Is that what you just said?
That's basically what happened. It's a little more complicated than that, but yeah. That's
and how is the 15-year-old doing now?
So now she's doing better. She's stabilized. We've got her in counseling, but she doesn't really want to have much contact with my wife.
And so if your wife comes home with a baby, think about, and I'm not asking you to answer this now, I'm asking for you to think about these things. I would suggest that you think, okay, if the wife comes home with a baby, how does that affect the 15-year-old? Or if the wife says, I'm going to go be with the other woman and leave the baby here, how does that affect the 15-year-old girl? And so as Kimberly said, there are other kids involved. I guess I wasn't appreciating how much the other kids are involved. And whatever decision you come to, my friend, now, you obviously don't know what people are going to do. But because you know your daughter and you know your wife, you can make at least educated guesses. Like, I think it's going to be this, I think it's going to be that. And so when you come to this conclusion about whether you're going to make that boundary or not, whether you're going to say everything you said, I'm not going to be redundant, think about the effect it's going to have on you. Think about the effect it's going to have on the baby. Think about the effect it's going to have on the 15-year-old and any other kids who are emotionally affected by this, and ultimately also how it's going to affect her. Now, there is no clear-cut, simple answer here. And whichever you do, you're very likely to wind up second-guessing yourself. Like, should I have done that or should I have done that? But at least put all those things in that bucket as you consider this and analyze and think through each one of those so that when you make your decision, you can feel confident that at least you thought things through as well as you could. And that's how you can live with yourself and have peace, whatever that decision is that you come to. Because no matter what you decide, it still may not turn out like you expect, no matter what you decide. You understand that? So, for example, well, I'm going to get too involved here. Does it make sense that we're asking you to at least think through all those things before you make this decision?
Yes, it does.
Okay. If there were a simple, clear-cut solution here, my friend, we'd be happy to help you think through it. But this, as you know, is an extremely complicated situation. And do you have somebody who can help you think this thing through that you trust, people of wisdom who are not prejudiced against your wife, who can just help you think this through objectively? Do you have people like that in your life?
I thought I did, but the longer this goes on, the more that they are just angry at her.
Yeah.
And I really am working toward reconciliation and working on my pies. And so it's really hard for me to continue to engage with a lot of people because they're just so angry on behalf of my kids, on behalf of me, and it's coming from a good place, but it's just not helpful. So,
all right, that's wise.
Yeah.
That's wise. Because people who love you too much or love your kids too much wind up giving bad advice, not because they mean to, but because they love you so much.
Right.
It's a complicated situation, my friend. I do hope you can find somebody who's objective that can help you think this thing through. If you have to do it by yourself, at least write it down and think it through carefully before you make your decision. That's all I can recommend. Okay, now we're going to move on to, let's see here.
That would be a good situation for a coach.
As a matter of fact, explain that to her.
Yeah, at Marriage Helper, we have people who are trained marriage helper coaches of ours, and they work with people all over the world. So you don't have to go into an office or try and figure out your schedule like that. You don't have to do it with your spouse, but you can do coaching. It's different from counseling. In coaching, we are seeing things like Joe said. Our coaches are trained to look at the objective, to ask you questions, to help you think things through, not to tell you what to do, or even not even really to get into super deep of all these things that have happened in the past, but to help with your behaviors, your current decisions, and help you make great choices based off of where you currently are in your life. And so the great thing about our marriage coaches is that we believe in marriage, we believe in reconciliation, and they are not going to say anything to lead you away from the fact that let's help you work towards your marriage. But we also honor whatever decisions and choices you choose to make with your life and in your marriage. And so our coaches are awesome. Bottom line is our coaches are awesome, and they work with you wherever you are, because all of it's done through phone, Skype, or FaceTime, whichever way you want to do. And so it's been really helpful for thousands of people who have used our coaching.
They don't do counseling or therapy. That's not what they do. They help you think things through. They'll ask you questions. They'll challenge you sometime.
Yeah.
And the way you get a coach is you call our number at
866-903-0990.
There it is on the screen. If you're seeing us on, if you're listening on Blog Talk, we'll say it again slower, 866-903-0990. And if you already have a client representative, ask for him or her, and they can help you get to these coaches. That was a very complicated situation that young man has, and I know his heart's breaking for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get it thinking, well, because there's the same gender situation, then is it different? And it does make it different, obviously, but the same principles always apply. And if my spouse is involved with another person of the same gender, I still do the same things.
Yeah.
Now, there's different things going on there. We admit that. There are different things going on there. And it's a unique situation, which is why we also have alliances with people who are experts in same-gender relationships. So because it's so unique, we can send people to them. But as far as what you do, it's still the same thing.